Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to LinkedIn Tuesdays. It's November 1st, 2022. Hard to believe 10 months are already gone for the year. November 1st, 2022. Please note this event is being recorded and is currently live on Facebook. The recording will be on the Career USA YouTube channel for others to view in the future. By participating in this event, you give consent for your name and picture to appear. Please note that any comments you put in the Zoom chat window will not appear in the recording. Also, you're welcome. I mean, this is all about networking. This is all about connecting with other people on LinkedIn. If you want to put your contact information in the chat window, please do so. And, I encourage everybody to connect with everybody else who's on the call today. If you have any questions throughout the presentation, I'll be monitoring the Zoom chat window. And for those watching on Facebook, thanks for being with us. Just put your questions into the comment field. We'll be sure to get those questions answered for you. Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Jeff Morris. Back in 2008, I started a website called careerdfw.org. Just about 14 years ago, and coming up in a couple weeks here. 10 years ago, I started a website called careerusa.org, a website to help those who are unemployed in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. I have written a book called What I've Learned About Your Job Search. You may not know. It is available on Amazon, or if you see me in person, I usually have copies. Since 2007, I've been facilitating and leading the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group. I'll tell you about our upcoming program that we have coming up this Friday at the end of this session. And since 2017, I've been a member of the Practice Interview Team, also known as the PIT Crew. Just remember, your resume and your LinkedIn profile is not going to get you a job. What it does do, it does get you a phone call. How well you practice your interviewing skills, that's what's going to get you your next job. Well, we have 4 outstanding speakers who talk about LinkedIn. They rotate through on a monthly basis. Today, our speaker is Kurt VandeMotter. He's a retained search executive at Linked Executive Search. He pays LinkedIn the big bucks so he can try to find you. And what we're going to do today is he's going to show us what it looks like and share some other thoughts from as a recruiter. So Kurt, thank you very much for being with us, and I'll turn it over to you.
Great. How's that working? Everybody can see me, everybody can hear me.
We can.
And I'm not going to share screen yet. I'll do that in a minute. So again, Kurt VandeMotter, thanks Jeff for the introduction. Thanks for the invitation. I'm a little casual today because I'm working from home, but that's not about the way I'm dressed, but it's more about the content and what we're about to talk about. As I try to, as I have done this a number of times, I tell everybody that this is your meeting, it's not my meeting. So if you've got questions, you've got something that's on your mind that you want to chat about, or something that's been bugging you, you want to learn more about a story or something that's happened to you from a recruiter, here's a chance. I'm an open book and I'll talk to you about anything I can. But it is your meeting. So if you've got specific questions, throw them into the chat, and Jeff is my wingman and he'll be there to make sure that we get all of your answers, all your questions answered. So one of the places I like to start and just take a few minutes, and it's not again about me, it's more about you all, but just to give you an idea of what my background was and how I got to where I'm at and why that may be valid to the work that I do. I'm a retained search executive. I'm going to get into the difference between the different search people that you're going to come in contact with. Started the business 15 years ago, 16 years ago. And I came out of corporate America, not as a HR leader or as a recruiter, but as a hiring manager, coming out of companies like PepsiCo, Dr. Pepper 7-Up, AT&T. And then I did some startup technology companies along the way. So my background is built on a foundation of hiring, firing, being a part of succession planning. And I think that my instincts are pretty good in most cases. I share with you a quick story about a candidate today that turned down an offer that we had. And I was talking to one of my partners that I work with about it. And he said, gosh, after listening, while he's, Kurt, everything you've said just makes all the sense in the world. So I don't have all the answers, but I have a pretty good pulse and beat on what's going on out there, because every day, if I'm not talking to candidates, I'm out there talking to CEOs, owners of companies, people that own businesses, and talking to them about what's going on in the industry today, what's going on in your company, who's hiring, who's firing, what's the pulse of the marketplace. So I think I've got a pretty good pulse of what's going on in the industry. And again, hope to be a resource for you and everybody on the call. If you've got any questions, throw them in there to Jeff, and he'll bring them up as we go. Let's go on to what the different kind of recruiters. There are, hang on, guys, just 1 second. I got to be right back. Hold on 1 minute.
Kurt will be back with us in just a moment.
Sorry about that, guys. I had some workers that were coming to the house and I forgot they were here. So I had to let them in. I'm back. Sorry about that, Jeff. So what are the types of recruiters? There's 3 kinds of recruiters. Okay. And it's not good, bad, and ugly. There's 3 kinds of recruiters. There's internal recruiters, and these are the people that work for the company. So an example that I give is AT&T. AT&T has got, they probably have 300 recruiters, 200 recruiters, and they're working on retail stores. They're working on the executive office. They're working on the technicians that service the towers, all kinds of people. These are the people that know the position that they're filling pretty well, because they've worked with, talked to the hiring manager extensively. But it's important as you do your search that if you have to ask the question about who are you, what kind of recruiter are you? The other kind of recruiter is a contingent recruiter. Contingent recruiters don't get paid any money unless they find the candidate. So you're a company, you're looking for a vice president of sales, and you you go out and you talk to 4 different contingent recruiters. You don't pay anybody any money, and the only candidate or the only person you pay is the recruiter you pay is the recruiter that brings you the candidate that you hire. Okay, so everybody else is doing the work for free. Then there's a retained search executives, and retained search executives are people like myself. And we are exclusive when we're working on a deal. And we generally have 90 to 120 days, maybe longer, exclusively. And we get paid a retainer up front. And then we take a commission or a check at the end of the search. And different search firms work different ways. This is the way they get paid. But the bottom line is, retained people, they're exclusive. They're the only people that are working on the search. The company's not working on it anymore. There's no other recruiters. So they may not work as fast as a contingent recruiter, because a contingent recruiter, as I told you, only gets paid if they present the right candidate. So when they become engaged with a company and they're working on filling that job, they're working overtime to try to find the right candidate and present that person immediately so that they can get that person hired and then they get paid. Versus a retained that takes a little bit more time, or versus an internal recruiter. And in internal recruiters, they're going to reject people because they're looking for the perfect candidate. They look at a lot of resumes and they don't want to go back to that hiring manager until they found the perfect person. So they may not have they may not take the blinders off as much as I would in talking to or researching candidates, because they're filling a lot of jobs. Keep in mind that internal recruiters, sometimes I worked with T-Mobile years ago, and each of their internal recruiters were recruiting for anywhere from 50 to 75 jobs. So the bottom line is 3 recruiters: internal, contingent, and then retained. I'm a retained guy. So what I want to do, and the whole purpose of today's meeting is really to dive into LinkedIn and talk to you a little bit about what this product looks like and how recruiters use LinkedIn. So I'm going to go to share screen, and I'm going to go to, you don't want to see my email. Let's do this first. Hold on just a second. Okay, so if we go into LinkedIn, is that showing up, Jeff?
Yes, there we go.
Okay. So, so this is what my screen looks like from a LinkedIn recruiter perspective. Let's talk about a little bit about LinkedIn Recruiter. So LinkedIn Recruiter is a product that was developed about 12 years ago, 10, 11, 12 years ago. And it is a product that is built on top of LinkedIn as the foundation. So think of the foundation of LinkedIn being all of you that have joined LinkedIn, and you don't pay any money. Most of you don't pay any money to belong to LinkedIn, and you get to use their database and update your information and put stuff in there. Well, that's really the foundation of LinkedIn Recruiter. What they did is they built LinkedIn Recruiter with a separate set of APIs that plug into that database. And when Jeff says I spent a lot of money on it, yeah, I do. But I don't know how you can do your job with, and I'm not, there are a lot of recruiters that don't use it, but I can't imagine myself not having this product anymore. But the bottom line is I have visibility into 100% of the network, unless you have selected that you do not want a recruiter, you don't want anybody to see your profile other than the people that you're connected to. So I have 100% access to the network, but you as a candidate cannot see me. So candidates say, well, no, you show up, but you just don't, I don't know your name. And that it's like, no, only when I sometimes accidentally go into LinkedIn and start searching do I show up on your screen. If I'm on this screen and I'm using LinkedIn Recruiter, you can't see me. And the reason is because I can look at, depending on the day, I can look at 100 profiles in an hour or two. And if every one of those 100 people knew that I was looking to fill a job and they tried to outreach me, or even 50 of them did, I'd never get anything done. So I'm completely invisible to candidates that I'm searching for. They cannot see me. So let's go in and we're going to conduct a search today, Jeff, for a new role that I anticipate I'm going to be working on here shortly. It's going to be down in South Texas, and it's a new CEO search. So when the first thing that I have is this section up here that I'm circling is spotlights. Okay. Jeff will highlight it all for you here, but the spotlight section is open to work. Okay. These are, now this is something that I did not know, Jeff. Somebody brought this to my attention last week, and you may have heard of this before, but LinkedIn now defaults candidates as open to work. And you have to go in and manually take that off if you don't want it to be on. Did you know that?
I did not know that. Very interesting.
So I don't know that it applies to anybody on this call, because if you had a LinkedIn profile before, I think that the key is if you're brand new to LinkedIn and you're going in and building a new profile, that it probably defaults that it selects open to work. But let's talk about what open to work means. Open to work is self-selected by the candidate, and there's two things that you can do. You can either turn on the, I call it the wreath around your neck. It's a green wreath, and it tells everybody that looks at your profile that you are open to new opportunities. And then there's another button you can select that it just tells recruiters that are using LinkedIn Recruiter that you're open to new opportunities. Here's where the rubber meets the road. If you are actively looking for a new job, you are unemployed, you're an active candidate, my recommendation and I think Jeff would fall into the same suit, is that you put that green wreath on and you tell everybody that you know that you're open to new opportunities. And here's why. One, it'll tell recruiters. It'll tell all recruiters, okay? Whether they're using LinkedIn or not, LinkedIn Recruiter or just the regular version or a Navigator version. Secondly, it will tell other people that LinkedIn doesn't stop hiring managers from going in and just searching the database and looking for people occasionally. And let's just say that I see Patty's on the phone today. Let's just say that Patty's selected to put the green ribbon around her head. And Bob, who she used to work with 5 years ago, is looking for a job that Patty's done. And he goes to her profile. He hasn't talked to her in 5 years. And he goes to his profile. He didn't have no reason to know that she was actively looking for a new job because they haven't talked in 5 years. But he can physically see that she is actively looking for a new opportunity. And that may provoke a call and an opportunity that you didn't know about or you wouldn't have gotten otherwise. And it does tell, it tells your friends, coworkers that you've worked with in the past. These are people that are a part of your network. And I tell people that when you're in a job search, your network is your net worth. Okay. Your network is your net worth. And that means the bigger network you've got, the bigger umbrella you can cast, and the more opportunities are going to come across your desk than somebody that's not as LinkedIn and hasn't been spending time trying to engage and network. So open to work, highly recommend if you're an active candidate, actively looking, flip the switch so that recruiters and the green wreath is around your head so everybody can see it. The only other thing that I think is important here, there's a number of other things that I could select, but is more likely to respond. For those of you that didn't know, LinkedIn keeps track of you. In that sense, they track whether you're replying to messages or not. So I'll give you a fact. I don't have the highest by any means, but I have some of the higher numbers on LinkedIn as far as people that reply to my messages. I've been doing it a long time. I don't know that I'm really good at writing messages. I learn from my peers all the time on how to write better messages. But the bottom line is, if I send out 100 messages, my reply rate's about 14%, 15%. So 100 messages go out through InMail, and I only get about 15 of those back. Some of that could be because I'm not writing provocative enough messages. I'm always working on that. But most of the time, it's just that the candidate doesn't see it or they're not interested and they don't reply. So I encourage you to make sure that you're being sought after by recruiters, that you reply to every message. And that can be just a no thanks, I'm not interested. Let me see if anybody in my network's interested. Maybe later, not right now. Thank you very much. It doesn't have to be a sentence. It just has to be a couple of words. And that then triggers to LinkedIn that you're more likely to reply. Okay. So let's go into an actual search, Jeff, and start looking for a CEO. So the job title for this role is a CEO, but I'm going to put in CEO, but I may not be actually looking for a current CEO. This could be a vice president of distribution. This could be a VP of marketing, sales. Could be a VP of marketing, operations. This company is about a $70 million family-owned business, and they're in the distribution business, wholesale, and hardware. Okay, that's the industry that they're in. They distribute products that you and I would normally go to get at Home Depot probably. They're working in rural cities around Texas, Louisiana, Oklahoma, and they're working with the smaller hardware stores and so forth. And that's where they get their business from. So this is I'm going to call it in Austin. it's really not. It's outside of Austin, but just for terms of this search, we're going to look at Austin.
I do want to point out real quick, to everybody who's on the call, notice that when Kurt was putting in job titles, he used the default job titles that LinkedIn provided. He didn't make up his own. So when you're using job titles, when you're open to work and you can pick 5 job titles, or you're putting job titles underneath your name on your profile, be sure to use the common, whatever the LinkedIn default job titles are, however they're listed, because that's what's going to get you the match.
Yep, agreed. Then when I pull up Austin, there's a whole bunch of other little towns around there that I can also dive in on that might be, I saw Round Rock in there. So I'll plug in those towns as all. Those are all real close to the Austin area. And then it doesn't always, when I begin a search, I'm always looking to cast a big net first. I can always whittle it down, but I like to start big. So current or open to relocate. So that's, if you are living in Dallas and you're open to relocate, make sure you're telling recruiters that you're open to that opportunity. And then I'm not going to put any companies. You can see I'm scrolling here. Workplace types. This is let's see, on-site, remote, or hybrid. It's on-site, so there's no question this is not a remote or a hybrid opportunity. If there was a set of specific skills or assessments that the company wanted me to have, or the candidate to have, I could enter it here. If they had given me a list of target companies that they'd like to go after, I could put those companies in there. Some companies, not many, are really infatuated by schools. I'll tell you where it applies. I do some work in the attorney space up in Missouri and Kansas City. And so I'm looking for lawyers. I'm looking for generally people that are between 1 and 5 years of experience, because this law firm, most law firms don't want to spend the millions of dollars that it takes to buy lawyers out of other firms. So, so in this particular case, putting schools in is really helpful, because I can load all the law schools that are in Missouri and Kansas City, and that helps weed out a lot of candidates that I don't want to talk to. So schools could be that, it's a Chicago company and they'd really like an MBA out of Northwestern or Kellogg. Okay, that could be a use of it, but generally I don't use that. Year of graduation, this is one that would come up as a question. This is where I can put in and identify whether I want somebody that is got 20 years of experience, right in that category. They've been working for 20 years. They were 20 when they graduated. They're 40 years old. If I want to do the math, I can figure it out that way. I can come in here and say, I don't want anybody that's got less than, for this particular job, to be the CEO of this company, they've got to probably have about 15 years of experience. So we'll take it up to there. And then I don't really know that, I graduated in 81. I'm 62 years old. They'd like somebody that has the runway for 10 or 12 years. So it's not going to be somebody that graduated with me in 81. It's going to be somebody that graduated probably somewhere in the 90s. It could be 91, 92, 93. So we'll just keep it open there. Again, trying to attract a bigger net. Industries, I told you that they're in the hardware business. So let's just see if computer hardware comes up. That's not what they're doing. They're in the distribution business. So let's see if distribution comes up. And that's not an industry, so that wouldn't show up. They're really not in the retail business, but I could use retail as an example and just throw that in there for grins. Here's where, if I had keywords, that I could build a Boolean, or I could put a keyword in here. This is where I'm going to put in hardware. Okay. Again, I've never done this search, so I don't know. I don't know know if that's the right word or if I should use something else. But again, I haven't even started the search yet. I haven't been given a contract. We haven't inked the deal yet, but I'm anticipating it comes later this week. So let's just go ahead and see what we got here. You're going to see some of your friends up here, possibly. You may be able to give them good advice about cleaning up their LinkedIn profile. Look at that. I made this thing so tight that there's only one person out there that I could talk to. So we got to loosen it up quite a bit, and we'll take out some keywords. But while we got David here, let's just go ahead and look at what David's got for a background. He comes out of Amazon, graduated from Stanford. He's got retail experience. Here's his summary. So proven entrepreneur, founder, CPO, CEO, 5 million up to 98 million, revenues of 600 million, extensive experience, leadership, hands-on product management, product marketing, B2B, B2C, that's important. And then he talks about form of mobile cloud services, web, desktop, client embedded in a set of top applications, as well as custom hardware and network products. Start looking at the companies. So he is a fulfillment product, home services at Amazon. Before that, he was at Jam Kazam. And then before that, he was with Learman and GameStop. Okay. So I can look at more. He spent some time in Spawn Labs, but he is not a distribution hardware guy that is in the hardware business. He's more as a systems hardware technology kind of guy. So we're going to back out of that, and we're going to come back here. And we got plenty of area. We got on-site. That's okay. I don't think years is hurting us. Let's take out retail. And let's take out hardware, because that just isn't a good word for what we're searching for. We've got to find a better way to do that. So now we come back and do advanced search. And now we got 2,300 people, okay? So let's go to search up here. Any questions, Jeff?
Let's see, not yet, but somebody did make a comment. Vanessa made a comment this morning. I just had a former colleague make a connection for me at HEB, and I assume it was because she had the green wreath around her name. So somebody just happened to see her and reached out to her. So
I love it. Yep. That's awesome. So here we go. Now, this is interesting. So you know what I'm going to do I'm going to take out the current or I'm going to redo that. And I'm going to say just current people, because right now I got plenty of people to look at. I don't need to relocate somebody. So that number went from 2.3 million people to now just local candidates to 722 candidates. I still can't look at 722, but just to see if I'm looking at the right people, I'll start moving through these pretty quickly, and I can see, right at the top here, executive office, operations excellence. I just am scanning really quick. Transportation, trucking, railroad, definitely not this industry. Here's food and beverage. I don't know. Could be, depending on where he came out of. He's got some specialty distributing experience. So let's just go in and look at Daryl, because he's at the top of the list here. Daryl has selected that he's open to work down here. See this? But he's not put the green wreath around his neck. Okay, so he is telling recruiters that he's open to work. And here are a few companies that he's worked for. He's worked in Dynamo Specialty Distributing. What is that? I can go here and look at it right away. Okay, you can see exactly what the company does. Better Beverage Distributor, DSD, servicing the major metro markets in Texas Triangle, food and beverage. We strive to distribute, merchandise, and promote the best beverage products, supply chain, so forth. Okay. So I don't know if that's the right fit for me for this particular role. Let's see what else he's done. Project manager. He came out of the Marine Corps 8 years ago. And before that, he was on-site tool and equipment manager with Bechtel. Well, gosh, this is a hardware company. That could be very interesting, right? Okay. So instead of throwing the baby away with the bathwater. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here and send Daryl a note. Okay. And I have templates that I've got built. I don't have a template built for this particular role yet. Okay. So it's, I'm not gonna send him a note because it wouldn't, I don't want to take the time to construct that letter and that note right now. But let's just close this out, go back to Daryl, and let's save him in a project. Okay. So this is like my miniature applicant tracking system. And I'm going to just say South Texas hardware. It's the name of my project for right now. Okay. And I can create that project. Okay. I can enter the job title. It's a CEO. Seniority, location. I can put all that in. And I have not contacted this candidate, so I'm going to put him in the uncontacted category. Okay. I got all y'all sitting here, so I'm going to move you down here, and then I'm going to come in here and I can save and continue. Okay. So it's created a project and it's dropped Daryl in there so that after this call, I can go back and look at, or send Daryl a note that says, hey, Daryl, I'd like to learn more about your background. If you've got 30 seconds in the next week, give me a shout at this phone number.
Can you open up his summary statement real quick?
Sure can. Well, where'd he go? There we go. Okay, so he's got a pretty good background as far as what he's done. It tells a lot of keywords in here. Remember, I'm not searching for any keywords. If I was searching for, somebody that had muscle or somebody that had process or somebody that was vice president of operations, then, those different roles, those would be highlighted in his background. Okay. But you can see he's open to work. But one of my pet peeves for people that are open to work again is, and this comes back to a high recommendation, in this summary section, if you are open to work, I highly recommend you put your email address and your phone number in there, okay? Because you just saw me go through this. I'd like to talk to Daryl, but I only have one option, and that's to send him an email. And I told you earlier that only about 15% of the people get back to me. So is Daryl really open to work? Or is that been self-select, or was that selected by LinkedIn? Did he just build this profile recently? Okay. Highly recommend you put your email address and your phone number in this section and allow recruiters that click on your profile that if they want to reach you, they can call you directly. It's a game changer for candidates. You will accelerate your search possibly by 20 or 30% by putting your phone number and your email address right in here so people can call you directly. After you get the next job, you can take it out of here. But for right now, just because they have your phone number doesn't know where they don't know where you live. And just because they have your email address they don't know where you live. So if you don't like the phone call, you can delete it. You don't have to answer it if you don't know where it comes from. Let it go to voicemail. If it's an email that you don't want to reply to, it's something that's inappropriate or something, then you can delete it. But they don't know your home address. So again, highly recommend that you give us your contact information in this section.
One other thing I want to point out while it's here is that it would be nice if he'd put some white space in between there, between paragraphs. Instead of having 30 lines there as a block of text, if he would put a blank line every 3 or 4 lines, it would make it easier to read.
Yep, good point. Great point, Jeff. Now, let's say that I really do want to get a hold of Daryl, and I might. I've got a couple of other options here, and there's 4 people that are connected to me and connected to him. So I could go to Tracy, and I know Tracy better than anybody here, okay? And I can grab Tracy's, now this is odd, because I should have Tracy's contact information, and for some reason, it's not giving it to me. That is really bizarre. And I have no idea what Taz brands are. I'm gonna go back. I'm gonna close Tracy out and go to one of these other folks because whoa. I didn't want to go that far back. Hold on, guys. I'm sorry, user error. Hang on, just be patient.
I think you may have to open up a new window.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go back and
So while you're doing that, I'll answer
Yep.
this next question here. Roderick asked, I got disconnected earlier in the call. I missed on the feedback on what to do with your LinkedIn profile if you're currently employed but looking for the right opportunity. So what you want to do is you want to let recruiters know that you're open to new opportunities, but you don't put the green wreath on there because you don't want your current employer to know. Now, if you don't mind them knowing and all of your contacts knowing, you want to put it on there. As Vanessa said earlier, she happened to have one of her contacts happen to see that she had the green wreath, that she was unemployed, and she got a lead from that person just because it said open to new opportunities. So, you know, you have to make that decision where exactly you want to do things. Craig says, I list my email and cell in the drop down just below my name. Is that sufficient or does that show to recruiters automatically? You want to put your contact information in two places. You want it in the contact field, okay? So that way all of your first degree connections can reach out to you. But then you also want to put it in the summary statement so that those, if you're a second or third degree connection, we can't see your contact information being like a first degree connection. So by listing it in your summary statement, that will allow anybody who looks at your profile to be able to reach out to you.
When you say summary, you mean the about statement, right?
The
Chad?
about statement, yes, your about statement, yes. It used to be called summary. LinkedIn keeps changing everything on us.
Yep. So again, we're back here looking through candidates, and can everybody see my screen again?
Yep, we see it.
Okay. So, you know, again, I know what I'm focused on: hardware, distribution, wholesale. Again, I could skinny this 722 down, but 700 is not bad until I start to find the people I'm looking for. So hospital and healthcare, not what I'm looking for. Food and beverage, maybe. So I can go into Russell. I did want to share with you, I wanted to go back and see, here's two connections that we've got. Let me go to Joanne and see, because I've never seen that happen before where I didn't. Okay, so here's Joanne. I've got Joanne's email address, okay, because we're connected, and I can grab her email address and then send a note to Joanne that says, hey, I see that you're connected to my friend Russell. Would you consider either sending him this note and asking him to give me a call, or just sending him my phone number and asking him to give me a call because I'm interested in talking to him? So for different reasons, I can send him an email. I don't have his email address. He hasn't given it to us here in this section. I can scan and look for that really quickly. My eyes can pick up phone numbers and email addresses really fast. And then I look what he's done. Operations, canning could be a potential. Ocean air, president, warehousing, logistics, not a bad background. Compliance, materials management, compliance with Technicolor. And then before that, he was with, and I have no idea who this is, so I'll just go look at for just for grins. They're a medical equipment company. Okay. So you get to start to see a pretty quick way of how recruiters are using LinkedIn Recruiter to search for you, and what you need to do in order to make yourself more visible so that these people, the recruiters can find you more easily. Any other questions out there, Jeff?
Not right now.
Okay. Now I got myself back in this corner
Yeah,
again.
just click on the second link, the second tab.
Yeah, right here. Okay, there we go. Okay. I can't see it because the video tab gets
Oh,
brought
the
in
little
there.
top thing. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So again, no contact information, a lot of great keywords, better use of white space that Jeff described earlier. And then real clear. I mean, he's used some nice fonts. The check marks are new. I like that a lot. He's given us a supply chain leader. This is what he's done as an operations startup. This is what he's done as a cost reduction. This is what he's done. So he may be somebody that we want to talk to about this role. I don't know whether he'd be willing to relocate out to where he needs to go or whether that drive would be too much, but that's not my decision. So I'd let the candidate, make that identification after we have a chat and get to know each other a little bit better. Okay. Oh, Bob.
Oh, you closed it out again.
I did. Here we go. I'm back at it though. It's right
Yeah,
here.
so, I mean, just want everybody to realize that who's, watching right now. Make it easy for recruiters. I mean, Kurt's first, he wants to pick up the phone and call you. If he finds somebody that he really likes, he wants to pick up the phone. He didn't want to have to send somebody an email. And he didn't want to have to email you to your personal email account. For those women out there, if you don't want to have your phone number on there, you can get a Google Voice number for free and have that number roll over to your cell phone. But, make it easy for recruiters to pick up the phone and call you.
Absolutely. So here's Vera, and she says that she's open to work and she's given us the green ribbon, which is key. Now let's just see, I think somebody, I want to go back because I think somebody, so good use of white space, lots of information, no contact information. I only have one choice, and that's to send Vera an email to get my introduction. Hopefully, because she's open to work, she'd get back to me pretty quickly. But somebody asked the question, if you are a passive candidate, where do you put the contact information? And I think it just depends on the company you work with and whether, you can't forecast that people. So the good news is LinkedIn used to have this tab on there that every time you went in and updated your profile, this is dating me, but that's a long time ago. Every time you went in and updated your profile on LinkedIn, they would send everybody in your network an update that says, hey, Kurt just updated his profile. And the whole thought is that you'd go see what I changed in my profile. Well, LinkedIn doesn't do that anymore. So, if you don't feel like you're on the radar of your company and that, your boss isn't living on LinkedIn all the time, and that you think by, I say sneaking in or putting your email address and your phone number in there is not going to put you in any kind of jeopardy, put it in there right away. I would tell you that probably about 98% of the updates that you do on your LinkedIn profile go unnoticed until a recruiter who's looking to hire you clicks on your profile, and it just becomes so much easier for them to reach you. So
it's just amazing. So here's Vera. She's open to work. She's looking for a new job, but yet she has no way to be reached. And it's just like,
but look at all the
90% of the work, but you've made it hard for the recruiter to reach out to you.
So this is really interesting. I almost want to say that she and I worked together at some point, but probably not. Only reason I say that is because I don't think I've ever seen a number this high, Jeff, where I'm connected to, we've got 92 connections.
Wow.
Okay. So there's going to be somebody in here that I know well enough that when I call them, and if I wanted to talk to Vera that badly, I could call one of these people literally, and they would say, here's her phone number. Let me get into LinkedIn and here's her phone number, or here's her email address. When you've got that many people, when I'm only connected to 2 or 3 people, it makes it a lot more difficult. So in generally, when I'm taking this first swipe at it, I don't even go into their connections because I'm moving so fast that I'll do that as a backup. I might go back 3 or 4 days later and go, okay, Vera hasn't gotten back to me. let me find 4 or 5 people that I could talk to that might know her and might be able to share her information with me. But even then, it doesn't work very often. One of the other people that hosts, not hosts, but participates in these shows or these seminars with Jeff is Locke, and Locke Anderson. And he's the only one recently that I sent a note to that sent a note back within 5 minutes and said, here's their contact information. Good luck. Some people are just reluctant to give out other people's information. It's like, and I always make it very clear. If you don't want to send me their contact information, I understand, but will you please call them or email them and tell them that I would be interested in talking to them, that I've got a great job that I'm recruiting for. Try to get their attention that way. But I have to reach candidates in all kinds of ways. I was talking about it with a business owner the other day. If you are trying to reach somebody at a company and you've sent them an email through LinkedIn, and you know the name of the company that they work for, you can probably send them an email. Somebody might say, well, I don't know their email address. Well, go to the webpage of the company and look at the person that's doing their PR for the company and look at their email address. If it's jack.johnson@abc.com, then you can probably guess the person you're trying to get a hold of. Jenny Smith is jenny.smith@abc.com. And guess what? If you send an email to that address and it bounces, no foul, no harm. Okay? The person you're trying to reach isn't in the background laughing at you. Oh, they can't get to my right email address. They don't even know you sent an email because it went to spam. It didn't even go to spam. It got rejected. So then you go back and you try it a different way. Try calling the company after hours. I don't know the percentage, but I think it's pretty high these days of companies that have IVRs. And so after hours, when the secretary or the person's not at the front desk, it rolls into that IVR and you want to try to get a hold of Jack Smith. Now's a great time to plug in his name and see if his number comes up, and you can leave him a message at the office. Hey, Jack, found you on LinkedIn. You've got a job that I'm really interested in. I'd love to chat with you about it. Send me let me know when you've got 9 minutes to talk to me. Don't use 15 minutes. You don't even know Jack. How do you know he's not going to give you 15 minutes of his time? I have candidates say, hey, Kurt, I'd love to know more about what you do. Do you have a couple hours on Friday? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be crude or rude, but no, I don't have a couple hours on Saturday. If I had a couple hours on Saturday, I'd be on the golf course. I have 15 minutes. I have 9 minutes I can give you. I've got a few minutes that I can offer you, but be careful about how much time you're asking from people that you don't know yet. And leave enticing messages that make it so that people want to call you back. I think the other important thing is that you've got to remember when you're trying to reach these people, whether these are people in your network or these are people that you don't know yet, you've got to remember that these people are really busy, okay? And they've got a job and they've got a family potentially, and they've got an elderly mother maybe, and they've got they had an argument with their spouse on the way into work, and they're trying to make up for it and find a movie that they want to go to and order flowers. I mean, people are very, very busy these days. And so if you don't get a call back from somebody that you leave a message for in a day, don't panic. Maybe on day 3, you call them back again and say, listen, Jack here, just wanted to drop you another message. I so appreciate you've got probably one of the busiest schedules out there, but if you've got 6 minutes next week, I'd love to connect with you. So find creative ways to reach and talk and communicate with people. But the biggest thing I can offer you if you're on this call and you're not a salesperson is find somebody that is a salesperson to align yourself with as an accountability partner that can help you sell, because you are the product right now and you've got to learn how to sell yourself, whether that's on the phone or in interviews. And Jeff offered made a great offer to everybody on this phone. The pit crew, if you're going through interviews and you haven't gone through a pit crew interview yet, you're missing out on a huge opportunity to figure out some things that maybe you're not doing as well or telling the story as well as you could. highly recommend you take advantage of those services. What questions do we got, Jeff? We're coming down to the last 9 minutes.
Yeah, no, there's nobody gonna, if you have a question, you want to unmute your mic, you can ask away. I know a question that always pops up is about age discrimination. I mean,
Yep.
do you want to comment about, well, that and
Yep.
about salary? Those are the two things about how to handle that.
Yep. Did somebody want a question there? I thought I heard somebody speaking up.
Hey, this is Rod again. Just on the earlier question. So if I am on LinkedIn and it gives me the option to have the recruiter look at it. So all LinkedIn members, this only includes recruiters and people. The people use a LinkedIn recruiter. Is it which one is it? If I'm still actively employed but potentially open.
Yeah. So you want to check the box that tells recruiters that you're open to new opportunities, and not telling the whole world by putting that green wreath around your head.
Got it. And the LinkedIn recruiter is the one that does that one, correct?
Yeah. So if I'm on LinkedIn Recruiter, I can see where you have self-selected that you're open to new opportunities. When I go to so if I go back here, I'm going to try to do this, Jeff, without exploding the system again. Okay. So here's another example, Rodney, here is Louis. Okay, Louis Vasquez. He is open to new opportunities. He's self-selected that right here, open to work, but he has not put the green wreath around there. So this open to work will not show up anywhere other than people that are using LinkedIn Recruiter.
So I think the numbers I've heard are 97% of recruiters use LinkedIn. Less than 50% of recruiters actually pay for the recruiting package to be able to see if you're open to work or not.
Yep, I think that's right. And in companies, there are some recruiters that have the product and other recruiters that don't have the product. So again, Rodney, you're what we call a passive candidate. You're passively, actively looking for new opportunities. And that means that you're taking phone calls from recruiters, you're keeping a real close eye on LinkedIn, you're sending messages back to people, you're proactively talking confidentially to people in your network that if the right opportunity came up, you'd be looking. But you're not ready to, and you shouldn't be ready because you've got a job. You're not ready to tell the whole world that you're looking for a new opportunity. And so that's why you want to keep it, and that's how you keep it confidential.
All right, Susan asked, if I leave the date of my college graduation blank, am I excluded from the search results when you plug in specific graduation dates?
Yeah, you would be. But, the thing that I tell candidates, Jeff, is that, eventually I'm going to figure out how old you are. Okay. I mean, it's just a given. I mean, either I'm going to meet you face to face and I'm going to be able to see that you're older or you're not older, or at some point I'm going to have a Zoom call with you, or some point you're going to say something that's going to date you or give me an idea of how old you are. And so I think this whole thing about age discrimination is probably overthought in some cases. Not to say that it doesn't happen, but I can't tell you the last search that I conducted that the company said we want somebody that's young. Okay, now the company I'm working for, I was very clear. They want somebody that is going to be with the company for 10 or 12 years. Okay, so it makes sense that as I start my search and I start talking to candidates, if I'm talking to somebody and I've got a feeling or as I talk to them, I know that they're 65 years old, that's probably not the person. I mean, not that person wouldn't be willing to work till they're 80 years old, but that's probably not the person that they're looking for. They're probably looking for somebody that's 5 or 6 years younger than that, and maybe even a little younger. But age does not come up very often at all with companies. It's more, I think, of the candidate perception. I had a friend of mine, his name goes nameless, but I'll never forget. He, for a long time, he dyed his hair, and I'd see him and I'd say, dude, what are you doing? I mean, you look silly. I mean, I know everybody knows how old you are. You can't hide that. But if it gave him confidence and it gave him, a boost in his morale and everything else, then go for it. Who am I to judge on what you're trying to do? But if you are more senior in your career, then it's time that you have to be a little bit more realistic to say, that the company may not be looking for somebody that is like me, that they may not be looking for a gray hair. They may be looking for somebody younger. That's okay, because there's other opportunities for us in the marketplace.
I think I've told candidates, they've had a beard or they've got a mustache. I said, well, shave it off. It makes you look like you get your baby face back. And then after you get the job, you can grow it back if that's what you need to do.
Exactly. So there's a lot of things that we can do to help that along. I think the other thing you wanted to talk about briefly was salary. Salary is never an easy thing to talk about, but when a recruiter's calling you and asking you questions about your salary, it's time to be honest. They're not, they're not there to, they know they're not going to take you. If you're making $100,000 today, let's use Rodney. Let's just say Rodney's making $100,000 today, and he's a passive candidate. He's not actively looking. And let's just say that I'm a recruiter trying to recruit him. I know that I'm not going to get him to move over to company XYZ for $85,000. He's already making $100,000. I know the company's not going to give him $150,000 because he's only making $100,000. So don't try to escalate your salary. Just be honest and tell the recruiter what your base is, what your bonuses are. This time of year, if you're getting approached by recruiters, it's really important to let them know that whether or not you're going to lose your bonus. If you're asking to leave, if you want to leave the company and you want that bonus to be replaced, make sure that's a part of the conversation up front. If you're talking to companies today and you've got a vacation for 2 weeks scheduled in January with your family, as you move through the process, not on the first interview, but if you continue to be of interest to the company and they continue to be of interest to you, then at some point, let that person, that recruiter know that, you've already bought a vacation for your family. It's going to be the Christmas that you're going to do in January, and you're taking everybody to the Caribbean for 2 weeks. So be transparent and honest with recruiters and employers. It won't hurt you, and it'll only help move the needle quicker because you're being transparent.
Well, Kurt, thank you very, very much. I think for everybody out there, Kurt's #1 message is put your contact information in there, make it easy, and keywords of how you're going to be found.
Yep, I agree.
Hey, Jeff, Kurt, I had one question. Is it helpful to add the hashtag open to work, or is there any value in that? Because I've seen that.
Yeah, it's not a bad thing. You're putting that in your header somewhere. That's fine. I've seen where recruiters do put use as keywords open to work to see what pops up in their network. So that's not a bad thing to do.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Right.
Best of
All
luck,
right,
everyone.
All right, we're at the top of the hour, Kurt. Thank you very, very much
Thanks.
for your time. Let me just tell you, next week, Terry Sullivan will be with us to talk about how to tell your key contacts and prospects who you are, what you do, and how you can help. So today you heard from Kurt. He's all about the, how a recruiter finds you, how he would find you as a recruiter. Terry's going to talk about your LinkedIn brand, who you are, what you do, and how you can help, how you need to talk about that. So Terry's session will not be recorded. So if you want to watch it, you do need to watch it live. Terry doesn't allow his presentations to be recorded. All right, I need everybody to please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I insert your name here. Promise to always send a personal note whenever I send a LinkedIn request to connect with anyone. This includes when I use my cell phone or my computer. Very, very, very important. Always send that personal note. I get connection requests on a daily basis, but I don't know why. Why should I connect with you? So if you ever see a white connect button, don't click on it. If you see a white connect button, click on their face and then look for the blue connect button. Sometimes you have to open up the more feature. If it says follow and doesn't say connect, go to more and you can find the connect button and you'll be able to connect with that person and send a personal note. Career at FW Career USA, we're putting on training 4 days a week. Please join us tomorrow for Interviewing Wednesdays, asking questions in the interview. The whole point of an interview is not to be an inquisition, but to be a conversation. How do you turn that interview into a conversation? And that's by being prepared with questions. How do you come up with questions and how do you approach them? So join us tomorrow at 1 p.m. Thursday, being the first Thursday of the month, we're going to talk all about effective resumes. Primarily, this will be resumes as you're filling them out to go for an ATS system. But I think a lot of the things we talk about are common things that you want to have on all resumes anyway. So please join us. It'll be Thursday at 1 p.m. Central Time. And then this Friday at the North Dallas Plano Career Focus Group, at the first Friday of every month, we always do open forum. We talk about whatever it is you want to talk about, whatever suggestions, comments, questions you have, and everybody's welcome to offer their opinion. So please consider joining us this Friday. If you'd like to join the Career DFW or Career USA LinkedIn groups, you're welcome to join one or both. You do not need to belong in that. You do not need to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area to join the Career DFW group. I happened to just start each one of these groups when I started each of the websites. So there's currently over 14,000 members in the Career DFW group. And I will tell you that probably 1 out of 15 of those members are in HR or in the recruiting process because they're joining because they're trying to find you. This session has been recorded. It will be on the Career DFW Facebook page and the Career USA YouTube channel. On the Career USA YouTube channel, click on playlist because there's over 400 videos, but by clicking on playlist, it cuts it down to 7 different playlists. And then down below, you can pick whichever list you want, if it's LinkedIn. And then at the very bottom where it says view full playlist, click there and up will come a list of all the different dates, topics, and who the speaker was that you can go back and scroll through. It'll take a couple hours for this one to get back up. It'll be up later this evening. If you're not receiving emails about our workshops and you'd like to join the Career USA mailing list, you can just send an email to Career USA, # subscribe at groups.io. You'll never be spammed, but what you will get is the topic of the day, the title of the day, and most importantly, the Zoom link of the day. That way you can grab your lunch, grab your afternoon snack, a cup of coffee on Friday mornings, whatever, and you can just join us by clicking on the link in the email. Please note, Career DFW, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization. All of our speakers are volunteers. I'm a volunteer. Everything I've done over the last 14 years has just been to help you land your next great opportunity. So thank you for joining us today, everybody. Have a great Tuesday, and we will see you hopefully later in the week.
Hi, Jeff. Thank you.
Thank you.